times. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I'd rather record it and have nobody watch it than go, man, I wish I had recorded it.
I tried.
Then,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, then
Yeah, no one was. I had kids.
Okay,
that
well, first of all, I want to apologize if anything seems to join it today. I will tell you that we were a little bit distracted with everything. We spent all weekend cooking. Beth was baking and cooking, and I was barbecuing, so that we could fill up their deep freeze so that they would have a couple weeks worth of food. And then when she wasn't cooking, I was cooking. She was sewing and making stuff the whole time. So
pink stuff.
pink stuff the whole time. Okay, well, we're done with the last class. Everything's graded. Everybody got an A for the first one, just so you know, if you haven't looked at it.
Sewing.
Again, feel free to interrupt and ask questions. Feel free to get up and get a snack. I'm sorry there's no sodas. I'll be more specific next time, because I also like a soda at the end of the day. I didn't even look at it until you said there's no sodas. So, yeah. We'll take at least one 10-minute restroom break in the middle. Last class was over design and accessibility. The emphasis was on layout and organization. And that was the point of the assignments. And I know a couple of you were like, well, I already did the section. I didn't do a template. Well, that was fine, right? The whole point of the template was for you to take a look at how I might want to do it and then make your section that way. And the idea is that hopefully you will continue that on with your other sections. And over the course of the rest of the year, by the time the year's done, the only sections that aren't standardized are the ones that we did the first half of the quarter, right? So that, and I mean, none of the things I've ever done did I ever sit down and spend a week on my computer doing. It was all over time that slowly I added this or slowly added this. So that's the idea of doing it. Also, this course first quarter was that, we're going to do AI next semester, but I think at that point, it's doing that course second semester, even though it might have been better for new teachers because they might have felt more comfortable and everything to do it. But then you can't do it as you go. So all those things that we did, again, you can just hit duplicate on and then hit move and move it to the next section. You don't have to retype those things. And that was my other idea of doing a template section, was now I can just duplicate the section and then move those to the next one I'm at. It doesn't matter the way you do it, but I just hope that you'll think about continuing that on. We also talked about using restrictions and UDL practices to make things and the education more accessible to our kids. We didn't look at restricting activities. We're going to look at that a little bit more today. And next class, this was more about making our resources and leveling our resources for our kids so that the kids who can't read have something different to look at versus the kids that can. So, what kind of feedback do you guys have for me? Were any of the assignments too hard? Took way more time than you thought they would? Weren't worth your time? Looking forward, is there anything you're like, I don't know why we did that kind of thing?
It didn't take us, right? You allowed 10 hours. They didn't, I mean, I might have been the slowest person and it didn't take me 10 hours.
To me, I looked at 10 hours as how long would it take someone, a new teacher? Because I was actually hoping we had new teachers in here, which we don't. But I was like, if somebody's new, they're just coming in, the only thing they've done is the Moodle assignment the whole time they've been here, which is what we have new teachers doing, is the only one they ever click on is assignment. Then I thought I needed to, I didn't want it to be, it takes Janet 2, but you took 45, kind of thing. So I was trying to think of the average new teacher, I guess, is what I was thinking.
It took me some time to remind myself the directions, but I know you said the other time, let me know if it was way more.
And I am trying to, I don't have it all done, but I'm trying to do that resources in the very top section and make sure all the videos that are relevant for what we're doing are there, so you have one place to look for that stuff. Okay, so we'll get what?
You're in the process of making all your sections look like that?
No, I'm in the process of adding the resources just for you guys that we're talking about here. Like I did, I don't have all the ones for this for today in there.
Because it's your first time.
So today we're going to talk about Moodle feedback. We're going to talk about student choice theory and how we can apply it in our classes. We're going to talk about how we can set up personalized learning paths, and we're going to start talking about interactive activities, the biggest two of which we're going to do next class, or not today, just so you guys know. So Moodle feedback is something that some teachers use. There's only, of the activities out there, there's only about, I think it was 45 when I looked, Moodle feedback's in our whole thing. So not a lot of teachers use Moodle feedback. The idea of Moodle feedback is that it's not a graded activity. It's a way to get the same kind of things that you can get with Kahoot and any kind of other quiz on feedback on students that's not graded, because most of the time we'll do those activities that are not graded. But it's a way to find out how students feel about where they're at. A quiz lets you know how they are based on those specific questions, but feedback is more about, what do you think about this? And what do you think about this, to get their feedback. So it's a real-time learning gauge, and it can be data-driven instruction. That's how I use it. But this depends on how often you do it as well. So it's just one more activity that we can put in. Research says that kids are more likely to respond to feedback. They feel like they're giving you input, and it's more accurate than almost anything else because they're usually honest about it, especially when they think that it's anonymous. I tell them it's anonymous. That's not really true. It's not. You can drill down. You can make it completely anonymous. But I don't really look at the drill down of who said that very often. If I've got 99% of my kids saying they understand something and one doesn't, that's when I drill down, because I don't want to go over a whole topic all over again. I go up and say, hey, Dan, come and meet me during intervention, and so we can talk about that thing that they feel good about. So there's a bunch of different ways that we can do them. Most of mine are multiple choice or true false when I do them. This is just an example in my class. In every single one of my sections I have, I use Moodle feedback to do their self-assessment of the class. And all the questions are my I can't statements. And the question is, can you use BIOS to configure a PC? Yes or no? Can you explain it? And that's their beginning of class activity. On the board it says, retake the feedback. And now, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you that probably 75% of the kids, when they come in, do retake the feedback. But every once in a while, I have to delete all the answers to make them all retake the feedback, because I'll be like, there's no way you guys don't know that yet. Oh, I didn't redo it because, So I look throughout the class. This is an example of my chapter 2. Where were they halfway through? Half of them said no, of the yes and no. But by the time we got to the end, all of them said yes on every single one of them. And it came out relatively well. This is their grade distribution. The lowest grade in the class on the test was 75 to 80, and the highest was 100. These are broken down by 5-point increments. So in general, the class average on that test was at 88 or something like that. So when everybody says they feel good, I feel good moving on to the test without feeling like I would not have felt good moving on to the test here. If this had been what we went over the day before the test, I would not have given the test. And I've had it look like that before, and usually I'll delete all answers and make them take it again, because sometimes this is just they were too lazy to change their answers. Because every time they open a feedback, they see their previous answers and they have a chance to change it. The downside of doing it the way I do it, where they just re-answer the same question, is I don't have a graph. I don't see that they went from here to here. I just see that it's now here, and I remember what you know. So you could duplicate it and not let them change the answer. You could take that feedback and just say copy, 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 and move the feedback down further in your class if you wanted to. But this is how I use feedback. I've got it, like I said, in the top. It's the very first thing in every single one of my sections. It lists the I can statements, and then it lists the self-assessment. And like I said, that is the only way I use it. Although there are lots of other ways you can use feedback too. These are the ways that research says that feedbacks can be used. They can use obviously daily. They can be used weekly. They can use mid-course. There's lots of ways we can get our students' thoughts back. One of the things that I appreciate here at Trail is the fact that we do the feedback with teachers too. When I was on a school board somewhere else, there was a lot of complaints, and I said, "When's the last time we did a teacher survey to see how they do?" "Oh, we don't want to open that can of worms." It's like, so you don't care what the teachers feel or think. Then that's why we're in this position we are in that district. That's why, and just like it gives teachers buy-in, it gives students buy-in too. If they feel like you're asking their opinion and their thoughts, they feel like they're part of the process more than if you just plow on and go through. I'm going to make it through chapter 8. If it kills me by the time we hit Christmas, kind of thing. So there's lots of ways we can use feedback and look at feedback. The first activity is just making a feedback in your class and letting you guys think of how will it work for you in your course, and where would it be beneficial to know what your students think about something. So it's just the first assignment. That's all it is. Create a feedback activity, and there's going to be a video up top on making feedbacks. It's very, very open. It's not like, well, it's very much like, I guess, a multiple choice question that you can put in whatever answers you want in there. They have a rating scale. They have answer scales. Everything ends up being rated in the feedback when you look at the summary. Have you guys all used feedback? Has anybody not used feedback before? Okay. It's just a different activity that you can go and put in. It's worth no points. There's no way to give it any points. It's one of the few activities that you put into Moodle that you can't give any points for. Almost everything else, I think, can be graded. This is the one that you can't.
So you're going to show us what you're talking about?
Huh? Yeah. So I think, yeah. See, I have a link. Isn't that great? Okay, so that's the assignment. I'm going to go through the act of adding feedback real quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and add it right. I'll put it right here in this set. Well, I'm going to put it in the practice area. By the way, practice area is me showing you stuff, not anything you're supposed to practice on. It's just where it gave me a place to put things. So I'm going to go ahead and add a feedback right up top, right here. So you go to do an activity and a feedback. And by the way, I've not done it yet, and I need to. At the end of the class today, everyone's going to be a Moodle gamer, so you'll have access to the games. I don't know if anybody does. If you do, I'll know in a little bit. So, just like everything else with Moodle, if it's got the little red asterisk, means that thing is required. This is just what they see. This is what they see on the link. I'm going to go ahead and expand all because it's easier to walk through everything that way. Just like everything else, you can make an open and a close date. How long do you want them to be able to answer that question? If you put an open date, it's automatically on the calendar. Same thing with the close date. It'll show up on the calendar that it opens that date or closes that date. Record usernames. I do like that. And it's not because I'd ever use it for retribution, but if it's anonymous and somebody says something they really have a concern about, how do I find out who that person is? Now they don't see the names or anything, so I don't know that they know that. Allow multiple submissions. Can they take it more than once? My normal answer is no. Enable notifications. My normal answer is no. Auto number the questions. I don't know it. Doesn't matter if you wanted to say 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after they make the submission, are they allowed to see the analysis too? the default is no, but in many cases, is there a reason not to let them see how everybody else in the class feels? They don't know the names, so I don't know. And if they're, thanks for giving. And then also, do you want no groups? In other words, you want all your class together? Do you want to be able to separate the groups, which is what I normally leave it as, so that if you say no groups, then you can't look and see how your IEP kids answer. If you say, you still could say everyone, class 1, class 2. So I like to leave almost everything as separate groups. Let's see, restrict access, no restrictions. And then you can add that to be complete, I won't have to submit it if I was going to use this as an activity that other things, which I do. Mine, I do have that and say you have to submit feedback in order to see the next thing, because especially in the beginning of the course, I want to force them to tell me, do you know any of this stuff now before you start looking through the book and playing games and all that kind of stuff. And that's it. So I hit save and display. It's kind of like a quiz. I'm going to ignore that. That once you make it, there's nothing there. You have to then go and make questions in your quiz. So right now, I'm going to go and say edit questions. And then I'm going to say add a question. And here's the options. Page breaks, that I never use that. I don't ever want a feedback to be that long. I don't know that if you start adding pages in your feedback, how many kids are going to get past page number 1? I've never used that. You could. I've never used a CAPTCHA. That also is abuse of our children. I don't know why we make this. Before you take this, jump through these hoops. So I've never done that before. Information is just a text box that lets them read at the top. And then long answer is an essay. Short text is a little tiny, couple words. And then multiple choice and multiple choice rated, we'll go through those. And then numerical answer is just a number. And text intermediary is, I don't know what the difference between that and information is, quite honestly. So I go to multiple choice. Basically, it says, are you going to require this question to be answered to save? Most of mine are required, because why are they in there if they can skip by? I don't want them to keep hitting submit. So I'm going to say required. The question is, what are you asking them? Say, how experienced do you feel you are with middle IEP? So you spelled that wrong. And then the choices are multiple choice, single answer, multiple answers, or single answer drop down. So either I see all of them and I pick one, I see all of them, I can pick multiple. This is obviously a single answer, and a drop down just means it's a drop down box. It saves a little bit of room with the drop down box on the page, but not a ton. Vertical is normal. You can make the answers horizontal if you want to. Hide the not selected option. I like to say yes, because I want them just to see the selections. I don't want them to see the selection and not selected. And do not analyze empty students. Oh, empty submits. That's a new button. I don't remember that. So then my values, I just put each of them on the line. Answers. Very experienced, I feel okay, I am new, and what is Moodle? And then I just hit save changes, and that's what the question looks like. And I can move those questions around once I have more than one. I can always go back and edit the question, like if I was like, you know what, I really wanted that to be a drop down, I can change that into a drop down, and now it looks like this, where it's just a drop down like that. I don't know if I could change it to... No, I can't. Okay. Oh, obviously multiple answers wouldn't work with that one anyway. So that's basically it. You just go through and build your questions. And you can, if you make your question... Oh, I just copied it instead of editing it, by the way. I don't know if you see how experienced it feels, so I got to drop down and you can copy your whole feedback and then just edit them for the next section too. You don't have to remake the wheel every time. So if you're asking the same more generic questions through your course, how do you feel about the section that we're in so far? What do you think we could have done better so far? Did you like the most recent lab? Those kind of questions, you can just copy the whole feedback and put it someplace else and not have to make new questions. The way I did it, doing the actual indicators actually was a lot more work along the way. And then when they take a feedback, I'm going to go ahead and go to my course. And you look at the feedback activity, and the feedback activity is that little speaker thing. Then you can look at responses, which is where I'm going to look at individual kids if I wanted to. But usually, and I don't know why it's in the order that it is, because I care more about the analysis than the responses. The analysis is where you go and look at that part. And you can see, this is the section we're in right now, where we're at on any particular part of the analysis as we go. And I'm honestly, I think I'm going to start halfway through the course duplicating it and then hiding the first one so I can actually see progress more. Because that's the one thing I don't like. I don't like the fact that I don't get a graph of where we were and where we are, kind of thing.
Like you said, you don't have to screenshot it and remember where you put it
Right.
and all that jazz.
Because I have never done that. I've just been like, thing. Whereas if all I would do is duplicate it and then hide this one and I would have solved that problem. So that's feedback, and there's a video for feedback as well that I already added on there. But that's the first activity you guys are going to do. Is just get used to and add a feedback. Oh, wrong button. Let's see if I can get the next slide. Okay. Anybody have questions on the idea of feedbacks? They're really easy. They're a good use of time at the beginning of class or the end of class when you're like, I finished early, I've got 5 minutes left. You can all of a sudden open up that feedback and say, okay, everybody log on to Moodle and do that. And it's one more way for you to gather data. And sometimes it fits in when, Dan's still working on the quiz and everybody else is done. Hey, everybody go and take that feedback. And Dan do it via translator. Okay. This is the biggest part of this section, by the way, is choice. When we did the whole blended learning thing back in 2012, choice was the number one thing that they talked about being the biggest driver for student incentive in education. That the more choice we give students, the more engaged they're going to be, and the more interactive they're going to be in our class. Research shows that if you give kids choice, they learn more, they remember more, and they're engaged more. And if you looked at the graph, it's almost a 15 to 20% difference in almost every category in a class that is choice-based versus one that's just given. Now, there's no way to do everything we do as a choice. Right? You just can't do that. We have learning objectives we have to hit. We have things we have to do, but that doesn't mean we can't add student choice along the way to try to keep them more engaged in our class. And we're going to talk about some of the different ways that we can use choice. So, according to choice theory, there's 3 kinds of choice, one of which is almost impossible as far as my class is concerned. Not in all classes, because in all classes, if you are doing a totally flipped class and you're doing a workshop class, content choice is the hardest one to me. To say, I want to learn about this in this class. Most of us teach classes that we have a syllabus and this is what we're going to learn. I went to a workshop with Jody Wendell, and this was years ago, and the whole thing was about content choice and letting kids decide what they want to learn. And the idea was you've got 20 subjects to choose from, and they just say, I want to learn about that. And then the next month, they're doing activities and stuff related to that. But everybody in the class is doing different stuff. And you're just walking around kind of saying, how's it going, Dan? What are we working on today? Kind of thing. But there's no way for you to teach 20 things at one time. So it all has to be interactive. It all has to be online. And it's all based on what they want. That is, to me, that is a high-level high school course.
On a good day.
Yeah, I think that's really hard. In my perception. I mean, maybe there's some way that some goes, oh, no, that's easy, but I don't know what it is.
It's on,
We should try that tomorrow.
It's the very bottom on our OTES evaluation, and I just write on there. I don't think fifth grade students are prepared to do that for themselves. If you're gonna ding me,
Well, there are other choices that I think you.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
like,
I lift that up.
You get a bad rap by doing it. Well, there will be people who say you're not teaching if you do that.
Well, and Jody really, really wanted to do this. This whole thing we went to, the idea was that those two classrooms would be turned into kind of a business desk, business chairs, workshop area, and the kids would get to would work up to the cool room. If they did enough stuff in the traditional room, they get their own desk in the cool room. They get to hang out in the cool room and be, so there was a reward system and everything, but I was just like, I couldn't wrap my head around that with my subject because it's too linear. You can't learn about CPUs until you know about motherboards. You can't learn about memory until you learn about, and then everything plugs into this. So if you don't know what this is, you can't know what that. I mean,
Well, I mean,
Well, yours is
No, before I came back, I did this. I did this for Hobart. I did it for Trimble, and at the base. And you can do this, but as far as like OTES is concerned, someone walks into your room, you don't look like you're teaching.
Well, and also
but it's on
you're
that
also
board.
talking about adults.
I'm giving them, and I'm like, I need to be the leader.
Yeah.
There has to be a leader.
Right.
So I'm going to say of the three types, that one's not. Most of us can't do that. The next one, however, process choice, choosing the way they want to learn. That is something, and I've got an example of that we're going to look at. And the last one's the easiest one, the assessment format choice. How do I want to show you that I've learned? That is something that I think almost anybody can do in any class. That is something that I think most people can do, but it's a little more work. And we're going to look at some of those. The benefits, obviously, are if the students are engaged and if they're motivated, then, and of course they say, well, it'll increase their motivation and increase their engagement. But if you've got kids down here, how do you get them, on the bus in the first place? So, but it's supposed to increase all those engagement and motivation things. So, by having, and choice helps give pathways, and by having pathways, we get more diversity for our students. And this is resilience building. It's kind of part of gamification of classrooms that if they can fail and try again, the question still goes back to, I have students who will fail, and I'm like, oh, you can take this as many times as you want. I'm okay with the D. And you're like, yes, some of these things are based on the student engagement and how much they're willing to try. So I'm going to go over some different things that we can do in Moodle, different activities that we can do in Moodle, and different ways we can make things happen in Moodle. Now, we already know that there's conditional activities. We're going to talk about that more next time. That being like Beth does and I do, and I think you guys, or I know Dan does, that, my 504, my IAP, and my standard students all get different evaluations. I really need to add, I really do. I don't have many gifted students. I really need to add a harder one, a more challenging one. I shouldn't say harder, a more challenging one for my gifted students, so they aren't done with the test in 15 minutes staring around the room wondering what to do. Because that happens. I get students that are done in 15 minutes, and then I get somebody else who's the bell's ringing, and they're just hitting submit when they go out. So I have not done a good job of making more challenging one for my gifted students, and I do need to work on that. But Moodle allows us to do that and make different choice pathways for them. So, of the choices that we just talked about, content to me is hard. Learning choice is not hard, and it's something that not many of us do, but we can add those different choices for them. Do they want to choose between a video, a podcast, or reading? There are kids who would rather read than anything else. There are. I was a reader. I don't know that I would have, not really anymore, but I don't know that I would have done one of those other ones. I think I would have gone, oh, okay, is everybody going to leave me alone? I'm going to go sit in a corner and read. I'd rather do that. So we can add choice to allow the kids the way they want to see the content that we want them to engage with too. Obviously, depending on the grade level, like down in 5th grade, can you have them read a whole thing for a period? Probably not, right? You could have them watch a video, or you could have them watch a podcast or listen to a podcast probably. There might be kids who would, I don't know. I don't know your clientele, but it depends on the
Definitely
kids.
a kiddo in each class who'd much rather read their book than, but that's also reading a book, maybe not science content
Yeah,
compared to
that is
my
true.
library book.
And then
I always tell them, don't make me give
And then we've always got product choice. So we're gonna look at this one that I put together as an example of a choice. There is a new activity in Moodle that you may or may not have ever seen because it's new. Because I was looking, I've done choices forever in my class. For instance, I'm not my class here. Whenever my students do a activity or a project in my class, turn editing on. There is a choice associated with it of what their subject is that they're going to work on. But until I just made this recent change add-on, there was no way to make Moodle give different experiences based on choice. And now you can. For instance, turn this on. I thought I did that already. In my class, they always went in and chose what subject they're going to do a presentation. But this choice was just something to look at, and it didn't cause anything to happen. The new choice that I added is exactly the opposite. Is this still? Oh, do I have to refresh it? Okay. So if you came into the practice area right now, you would only see the Soundwave project choice. And this is what you would see in this project choice right here. It says, you may choose what project you would like to do during the following section. Choose wisely. You can only change your choice with my permission. In other words, they can't change it, but if they came up, and I can change it. So it says, option 1, sound waves essay, the sound of science. Objective, explain how sound waves work, how we perceive sound, and how sound is used in technology. And that is an essay. They can choose that as one of their options. Option number 2, Google Slides presentation on exploring the properties of sound. Objective, create a Google Slides presentation of 8 to 10 slides that teaches your classmates about sound waves and their real-world applications. And choice number 3 is student video project, sound waves and actions. Objective, demonstrate your understanding of sound waves through a short video that shows how they behave and why they matter. And if students come down here, they see 3 choices, and the 3 choices are called essay, slideshow, and video. And whichever group they choose to be in decides what assignment they see from there on out in this section of the course. So they're going to get very restricted. Here's how you make a video. Here's how you make a video. Because if he's writing an essay, he doesn't need to watch the video on how to make a video. And the assignment itself. So a student would go and say essay and hit save my choice. And then when they come back to this area, and I'm the teacher, so I'm not saying it. Is it hidden on you, Dan?
Yeah.
I figured that.
You're in clean view, so you can't see your phone.
I have it hidden. Okay. No, it's not hidden. Is this hidden?
Oh, no. Your section isn't hidden.
This
You're in
activity is
clean view, so that thing is.
availability show. Okay, so there you go. Oh, I see what you're saying. And I think all these other ones are.
Nope. No, the only ones that are showing right now are, what do you think of the course so far? And
Okay.
stuff later.
Okay, I forgot that I hadn't undone that. So theoretically, you should not see any of these, though, Dan. Can you see any of those?
The only ones I can see is Soundwave by Choice and How's the Course Going.
Okay, so if you make a choice, then you should see the assignment itself show up once you've made a choice.
Am I locked in on this one?
Well, you will for a second. I can always change. Okay, did you click on one?
I don't do the touchpad.
So now go back to the practice area. You should see the assignment that goes with that. Okay.
So he sees this one right down here that just popped up. So I don't have this one defined because I just wanted to show the idea that then in here I would have the whole thing with directions on how this project goes. And the students would only see the ones that they choose. And it doesn't have to be, this is the third example. This is, they're going to get a different assessment based on well, it's kind of a combination because there would be instruction in here as well. On how to do it, but that would be an example of a choice that the student decides something, and then just like here, I'm going to turn off that. Just like in our class when we say, if you're an IEP student, you see this one. If you're a non-IEP student, now it's like, okay, to see this one, you have to be in the group called essay. And to see this one, you have to be in the group called slideshow. And you have to see this one, you have to be in the group called video, and you can only be in one of those groups at a time. Okay?
This makes a whole new group in.
Yes.
Yeah, how do you make that restriction?
So that's what I'm going to show you. So first, I'm going to show you how to do it. But we can do this in Moodle, this choice in Moodle, anywhere we want to in our course, which is what your first assignment is going to be. Your first assignment is going to be, your second assignment is going to be make 2 or more groups, and then make a choice. And this is the majority of the assignment on this one. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do it, and I've got a video on how to do it. But so in your course, if you're in your class, up here under participants, in the drop down right here where it says enrolled users, one of them, if I go down here, is groups. Now in Moodle, you will always see your NT 504, NT Gifted, NT IEP, NT, the ones that start with NT are automatic. You can delete them every day. They'll be back tomorrow. Okay. The other ones are not. The other ones are ones made by you. So when it comes to a choice, you're having them choose groups to be in. And so you just have to make the group. So I go down here and say create a group, and I made a group called video. You could make a group called podcast if you wanted to make that one of your options. And in the group description, you could put a whole description there because there's a button where they can read the descriptions. I didn't put any descriptions in. If I wanted to have that in, okay? I spell podcast, I podcoast. And then I get it, and this group is just in this class. Okay, nobody else can see this group. So that's the first part is you have to make some groups that the kids are going to decide from. And the assignment is 2 or more because I don't know what, it has to be 2 in order to make a choice. But Dan might have 52 groups and Janet might have 2. The process once you do it once is not, it's not any harder for any more groups. So after you've made your groups, you're done here. And you go back to your course, and now I'm going to go to the practice area, and the activity that you're adding is an activity called group choice right here. So in a group choice, it's an activity that you go and say, choose. And you could be generic like this project. spell your right again. Your. There we go. And then you could put a whole description on what's going to follow, because you don't want to have nothing besides the group names. So they're like, what am I choosing? This is odd. I don't understand. So that's why I had that whole, this is what you're choosing in there, where I would explain. And then down here, it's just like a choice and a feedback. They're very similar. So allow enrollments to multiple groups. No, I'm not going to do that. Publish results. You could say always. You could say never. You might want to say after the choice. You know, if you say always show, then kids are going to try to be in the same group with a friend. So you may not want that. You may want to say nope, not till it's closed. Or after they've answered, you've got those choices.
So your checkbox that you said no thank you to, allow enrollment to multiple groups.
Yeah, so they
If I'm given 6 options and I want them to do 2, would I mark that then?
yes, and you can say how many. So
Okay.
if I say that, you could say you can be in 2 groups. Never thought of that.
Well, because I have like a tic-tac-toe.
Like a choice- you're talking about like a choice board?
Yeah, you gotta do 3
Yeah.
from the choice board. You got 9 choices.
Okay, that's perfect. I never even thought about that. So yes, you can say
And
multiple
I use
groups.
this on my evaluation.
There you go.
Yeah, this is what I was going to work on.
So yeah, you could say if you did 9 groups like you did tic-tac-toe board, then you could just say yeah, but you can only fit 3.
Yes, exactly.
I did not know that. I never clicked on that one. I never saw a reason for doing it.
Well, exactly.
That
I
makes
understand
sense.
why you said no, because I only want you to do one of these.
Right.
But if I do one of them,
But if I was doing multiple smaller projects,
yeah, that's what this kind of is. Yeah.
right, where my projects are like we're going to spend the next 3 classes doing a research project. But if I was going to do, hey, write a 200-word essay on this, and do a crossword puzzle on that, that's a good reason why you did it.
Write a 2.
I'm going to uncheck that because that won't make sense with the limited number of things I have. Allow choice to be updated. I said no. That's why I said you have to see me. Teachers can always move people, right? All it is me moving you to another group, and it just happened. Show column for unanswered. I didn't do that. Filter out responses for students with expired note if they're not in class. Limit the number of responses. You can say yes. If you do that, then you're going to say how many people can be in each group. So if you want to make sure that not everybody goes in one group, I mean, that's not a good example with this one, but you want to, like you're trying to do stations or something, and they're going to pick where they're going to start. Maybe you only want 5 kids in each group or something like that. So that's what limited number. So if I do that, then I could say 5 in each one or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and disable that for now. And then you say what groups are available for this activity. So I say, okay, the essay, the slideshow, the video, and the podcast. Obviously, I would never choose these, or they would be putting themselves into the 504 category, which if they knew they could get a shorter test by doing that, they'd all be like, well,
That only works for one day, right?
no, they're in the group until you kick them out of the group.
Even when those things update.
Oh, no. Okay, yes, they'll be there every day.
What?
This does not delete people out of groups, it adds people. So, for instance, on that, is Beth used to have a test that was for 504 and IEP kids. But there were some 504 kids that were basically super smart that don't need to be in the IEP test. So instead of having her test do those 2 people, she read the 504s that said this student gets extra time and put them in the IEP group. So her test now just says IEP, and IEP isn't really just IEP, it's IEP and the student she's identified that is going to take the IEP test. Because I've got the same thing. I've got kids on a 504. I had one last year who I just unpaused just seeing him.
Yeah, I'm gonna make one more with the Gibson.
I wasn't saying
Because there's ones who are not in that thing who
And they're
definitely
so
get
much higher up with the
Okay, so sort groups by system group creation date. I didn't like that. I wanted it by name. Why it should be by system creation date? I thought that was a weird default. Hide group. You can hide the descriptions or show the descriptions. So if you didn't type anything, I didn't type anything, so I didn't. And just like anything else, I can say you can only answer from this time. You can do all the normal stuff applies. So when I hit save and display, now this.
Yeah. That's
Oh, that's you guys that are in that group already. Okay, gotcha.
us.
So I can see who the group members are just by hitting this. I can show. Now you couldn't hit show descriptions or show group members, could you? When you did the activity?
Well, I haven't gotten to the activity yet, so.
No. I mean when you did the choice. Could you?
Could I see anybody in that choice?
Yeah, in that group. I don't think I had it set up for you,
Uh,
but you
no.
get the idea. As soon as they do this, because it's put them in a group, now you can use all the Moodle restrictions to say this group see this group see this, just like you do with anything else. And before this, there was no way to give them a choice that you could make things happen from. A feedback and a choice had nothing I could use as a restriction, and it drove me crazy until I found this because I was doing a bunch of how can I make sure
Well, I
choice
can't
works?
see who's in my group.
You can or cannot?
I can.
I wonder if was that in the Soundwaves choice?
Yeah.
I probably didn't know what I was clicking on when it
Which is
did.
interesting because it actually opens its own little subsection. Yeah. On the aside.
Allow, do not publish for that. Do not publish. Allow choice to be updated. No. Disable descriptions. So I did not say they could see it, but apparently they can. Do not it says results. Do not publish to students. Privacy. I would think that you wouldn't see that, but that's important to know that you can see whoever's in your group after you're done. Because didn't I say no to everything? Results to students, but to me,
Has published full results showing names and their text.
I can't. I wonder if I said that and then that went away. Hold on, let me look at the one I just made. Let's see, has anybody answered this yet? Answer. I want to see if it's shown with answers. That's the did I? Oh, it's down here. It's down here. That name's. Do not show student name, but that's still not. Yes, I guess I must have not chose that, and then once you answered, it was locked. But I'm just curious, Dan, if you take this one, choose your section project, Dan. See who's. So you can't see, you can see how many members there are. So that's what it does. The fact that I didn't do that when I set that up, Dan can't see the names, but he can see the numbers. Of who's
But
in.
when you click the
It wouldn't let me change it after people took. It's kind of like a quiz, I guess. I've already set it and didn't know to change that.
You can't really make somebody unsee something.
That's
It's the horrifying fact of not seeing things.
okay. So that's how you make a choice. You have to make a group and then just define your choice, and that's it. And then from there on out in your Moodle course, you can have activities that are based on that. In fact, you can have them at the beginning of the course say, what's your favorite way to learn? Video, podcast, reading, and then you can come back to that. That's that initial choice, and you can even say your favorite can be updated anytime. And as they're going through your course now, they're down in the 4th chapter, and Shannon's seeing something different than Dan because she said she was an audible person, and he said he was a visual person. And when he got down here, she sees something else than him. You don't have to keep making them tell you what your favorite is. They've already put themselves in the podcast group or the other.
But now, eventually, though, if they keep going back to it, they could end up adding themselves to every one of the groups, right?
Well, no, if you say updated, it doesn't. If I make this an update choice, it takes them out of the one and puts them in the other. Well, let's try it.
There's an update.
Let's try it. Yeah, that was one of my choices. Was let's go back here to it and see, because it said, "Do you allow students to update their choice?" And I said no. If I say yes,
Okay. I do get that, but does that actually pull them from?
I don't know. That's what we're going to find out. I want you to do the choice, and we'll see if you're in the other one or not.
Then I'll actually leave it then, right?
Well, that's what I want to see. I want to see if you leave, because if you update your choice, then that should change which one of the activities you see underneath it.
So,
Would that
which
work?
one did you shoot? Which one did you pick? This one.
Yeah, that one. So switch it to essay and see if the other one went away. So we're saving that. So because it allows you to update, you have to click remove my choice and then add it. So did you came out of that group, I assume?
Yeah.
And now you can only see the other one?
So it's
Yes. Okay. So if you allow them to change their choice, they'll have to say I'm coming out of that one, and now all the things that they saw before will go away and all the other things will show up.
Does that work from assignment to assignment? Like, so this is like a sound wave project choice. Let's say you have another topic. Does that update project choice remove them? Let's say in this one they chose essay, but like on the other one.
I'm going to say yes. So my thought, if you're going to use it for assignments,
Right.
is that I think your groups should be essay 1, video 1, and then make a 2 and a 3 for the other
For
projects.
the newer ones.
Yeah, because if all of a sudden they say, I'm going to choose this, then all of a sudden they're I don't know what it would do to the grade book. I think because hidden items are still. That's interesting. I would.
Like, is this one of the things where I could only do it one time?
No, you could, but you
Like-
have to change the group
You have to
names.
change the
I
group
think you would
names.
have to
Okay.
put and maybe you
So
just
if
put
you're
a.
gonna say sound, or
Yeah, I mean,
podcast
maybe put
sound.
all the chapter 1 stuffs have a 1 at the end. All the chapter 2 stuff have a 2. I mean, depending on
But
how.
if it was like content, like sound versus like atoms.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah,
have
so
that on the end.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, there's some things for learning modes that I think you could just have. What way do you like to learn? But when
So
it comes to
doesn't
projects,
stay with it stays then with that choice for all of them.
until they choose something else, and then it'll switch them. They'll all get flipped. You understand what I'm saying? If you have, well, if I've got a whole bunch of stuff, like these things are all viewable if you're a video person, and then you go and switch to the podcast, these will disappear
No, I
for
mean
you.
I'm talking about in the in a different
Yeah. Here's the go.
different
Yeah,
assignment.
go into
a
our
different-
class here and look at groups in our class, and then look at me and see which groups I'm actually in right now. Because I bet you.
But they don't go across classes. Groups don't go across classes.
No, go to the class that we're in right now.
Okay.
All right, here. All right, and go to participants. Let's go down to me, so I see what groups I'm in. Okay, good. That's the big
So it
question.
didn't pull you out.
So it pulls me out of the one group.
Right. Yes.
That's the big question, because see here, what I think what we're saying is like, if, which that's kind of amazing, that it'll actually pull you from one and put you in the other. Whereas if you made your own group, it won't do that. You have to physically pull them out, push
Right.
them in. All right. This is kind of neat because what in the world magic's happening, but it actually pulls you out of one. And puts
But
you
if
in
you
the
have
other.
a bunch of things that all are dependent on whether you were in the group essay and you let them switch groups, then those things would, if you made them only viewable, then they would just go blink off their little course. Is that what you're asking?
I was thinking. I was wondering if you did a different like we did one on sound. Now this one's on atoms.
Right.
And so now I'm doing atoms. Are those kids? So then you give them their choices again. They're not stuck
You
with the
need-
choices they made the first time.
Well,
unless
that's what I was
they
saying.
make
You need to
something
make a new
that's
choice.
Okay.
You need to make.
So that's what I thought. You're saying
Yeah.
you said something, I was like, what?
A sad fact is that if they choose a different group, all right, when it comes to when they're in a new group now, I'm no longer video group. Anything that I did as a video group person is not viewable in the grade for them, but it still calculates as a grade.
Right. It'll just disappear. But how many kids go back 2 chapters?
No,
and
just
look at
just
stuff?
letting everybody know because why?
I mean, it's like this.
People I put in a group, I have I said, okay, you need a little bit more of this, you need less of this, and I took people and went like that. And it's like what happened is something disappeared. So what I tried to do is when I waited to another new topic was coming along, and they would be less likely to actually see the switch.
Right. To notice that it
Yeah, because then they're like, hey, why did I get more questions? You're like,
Hey,
I don't know. Something must have happened.
why did that just happen?
A glitch in the matrix.
Okay, can I move on?
I like that.
Well, I just did that. So there's a difference between the things that we did last time and what we're doing now, right? Choice is one thing that gives students control. Automatic differentiation is what we did last time by saying if you're in a 504, or if you're an IEP group, or if your name has the word James in it, or whatever, we can use any of those things to differentiate. Choice supposedly builds motivation, but we know the automatic stuff builds support. It's good. It's the combination of the two that we're looking at down the road. Is that how can we say we are going to automatically give you supports because of the group you're in or how I've identified you as a teacher, but we're also going to give you choice at the same time. So the whole idea with personalized learning is bringing both those things together. To not do all of one or all of the other, but to try to have both the tools come together. So the idea is that in a course, when we look at what's called a personalized learning path, is that maybe everybody starts out at one place together, but they make some choices to do things differently along the way, and then they come back together when I'm teaching again, because that was just a choice in how you want to show me that you learned. And it maybe engaged you with the things you're interested in, or how artsy are you, maybe I have all technology things here, but that's obviously not, there's lots of other ways that kids can show, like the little electronic houses things, I can't think of it. There are lots of different projects that people can do. And then you can come back together and teach stuff, and then you can automatically do things the way we do it. So students can come apart and back together through learning paths, so that the whole point is, do we end at the same place when we're done? So this one is about trying to come up with some student choices in this section of the course. We did some automatic stuff last time, and we're going to do some automatic stuff next time. This time's all about trying to think of some ways that we can give student choice. We're going to get back to restrictions and system-driven stuff next time, where we can have it figure out our paths. When we look at restrictions, we can do it based on whether they've done specific activities. These are the 4 that I use the most. Whether kids have done a specific activity can decide what happens next. The grade on those activities can decide what happens next. You can have different things be seen and have different videos based on a grade on something the student did. So a pre-assessment quiz is a great way to divide learning paths. Everybody takes the same quiz, and then all of a sudden there's 4 different things students might see based on the grade they got on the quiz. And then the groups that we've already got the IEP and the 504 and the gifted, but then we've also got now the ability to have the students choose their groups as well, how they want to go. So that's what the second assignment really is about, is trying to think about how we can implement choice, either by projects, activities. You can have totally different quizzes if you wanted to, based on choices that they made and what kind of things they want to learn in the class. But that's what personalized learning paths are. The effect of the whole thing is to try to make it personal and make it something that the students feel like they had choice, and therefore, was it something that was done to them, things that they're doing in their class. And that's why we're going to try to do that. So the second activity is to come up with a choice path in your class. And that one basically is going to, let me see. I thought that was a link. I didn't click on it. So here's the second course activity. And this one is really the majority of the time in this one is this. So you're going to use your best use of choice for your course. So you have to decide what you want to make your choice to do. Is it going to change the way they learn? Is it going to change the way they do an assessment based on the groups they're in? It doesn't have to be one you're in right now if you're like, that'd be great in chapter 7, but it doesn't have to be something they're doing right now. Just something in your course, okay? So you're going to add groups 2 or more, depending on what you want to do in your class, add a group choice, and then create some path based on this choice. Whether it's a learning path or an assessment path is up to you, okay? Is a project, is an activity. It sounds like Janet may have something that's going to work out great for her already. And by doing that, they all are going to see those activities that they're going to do along the way. So that's the activity. And then the submission, basically, you're just going to give me a link to the group choice, and underneath that should be where I should be able to see what they're doing based on those choices. So all I need is the one link, because then I'm going to look at your class below that choice to see what you're having them do. Does that make sense?
Do we need to make it so that you can interact with it?
No, just look at it. Yeah, no. And I can become any student in your class anyway, so administrators can just be anybody.
Yeah. No, I was speaking as far as like so that the things pop up for you, you know.
Yeah, I could just become a student and see what it looks like.
Yes.
So yes,
Work.
yes. So that's the activity number 2 that you guys are going to do in the class, and this is also where I built in a bathroom break right there.
Okay. This I can be anybody. Actually, have belonged to now. So
No, I have to do that too. Yeah. I wish that it was easier than that. Because you'd think it'd be like just like I want to be a student and then stop being a student. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know why it. Just to make sure you know.
Yeah.
Something is so many levels higher than the average. They've just done like Tyson and Skylar in my science class, and there's a couple in some other classes too. They're just done so much faster than everyone else that I mean, you could give them 2 hours. And the other kids, and they're doing a good job. It's not like they're low, but they're just like average smart kids. But those kids are just like so fast that I'm like, I told Skylar, I said, I'm going to work on challenging you. I'm going to have to create alternate assignments. You know, the higher level thinking for some of them. I actually think I'm going to still go through this pretty fast, but at least they'll be doing higher level action. It's just, and Tyson, they both are just done, and they're right, like all right. I mean, I had to explain it. Once I explained it, they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." it was the chemistry of photosynthesis and which we're just doing now, and cellular respiration, and talking about how you just have carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, but they rearrange themselves. And how does that happen? Well, there's a reaction. They're just learning it now. And so once I explained it, and then like Paisley, I explained it the exact same way, and she about cried. Like, I don't understand it. And I said, that's okay. This is our first day talking about it. We'll talk about it again tomorrow and the next day. And the other ones are like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And they're done.
It's time for them to go out and do something. There's on every assessment I have, there's 4 different functions. Well, it took me like 8 years the last time we built something. Thing, my dreams.
The water's already hot.
That was the thing.
What's the star mean? What's the
Basically you're to the heart.
I don't know if there's like big pains in the butt stars that are.
I would have 13 gifted kids actually in 7th grade. They're identified as that, but there's 21 kids who are getting that kind of material. If you're unidentified, but you're way up. Like there's is the standard kid safety. They were taking a pre-assessment the other day. And one kid so there he goes, 6 questions. I was like, what? So you got that? Amazing. So it's just totally random. Somebody probably got more, somebody got less. It's like, oh yeah, the IEP kicked up. You here for 3 days?
He's playing for. So next time you have a laptop, I'm giving you an abacus. Like my Chromebook's not working right. I'm like, you call that laptop a Chromebook again? I'm going to give you a Chromebook.
I was on the way downstairs, and I had mentioned that a child left his pants in my room. And that's always weird. Like, why are your pants in my room? Why are you taking your pants shorts on? And all of a sudden she goes, I hate them. I was like, what, pants? Apparently it was the children, and he was saying something about the iPads. Somebody broke an iPad screen. Or like little kids breaking iPad screens.
Before you start getting
brand new ones, the brand spanking ones.
This is noise something. Plant out of me. All right. And question make here is default
from
to
one
something.
iPad to the other. He's taught
And
which I
those
hope
questions.
fix.
I have to get rid of this thing.
Right.
so the thing actually plays out. But if I go into something else, right, even if I don't like this, all right, it's there now.
I mean, you have to apply filters.
Right.
I don't know why.
Okay, but that's lame. Would love that not to be there. But here, if I go into import, this one is the it's collapsed. And why is that important to remember, Dan? Because when you click on it, it's automatically shoving it to whatever that default one was from before. And I had a time where I kept, oh, wait, why are there so many questions in that one? And I was
They
like,
just
gotta
kept all
filter
going
it
into
out.
that one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, there's some default behavior, and I mean, that I don't know. I know Dan knows this and Beth knows this. I had 260,000 questions in one section of my Moodle class. I've been able to use the quiz feature all year. I've been able to edit a quiz. Kids could take quizzes. I can leave exactly the way they were, but if I tried to edit a quiz, I was done for the day in Chrome. I had to close out everything in Chrome, reopen it up.
Is this the million questions you were talking about?
Yes, yeah. 260,000 of them were in my one class. And it was a known Moodle import problem from upgrading from 4.1 to 4.5, which is the only thing a logical person would upgrade from, because 4.1 was the old long-term release. 4.5 is the new long-term release. Why would you go to any in the middle?
All right, but it wasn't 264,000 questions. It was 264,000 examples.
65 pages of the same question.
Unless you could change your mind, right? It's multiple.
So you find out the little loop of just recreating. At some point, that's as many as it could make while it was doing
Yeah,
it.
did you make the internet go on?
Yeah.
Literally, I actually had to tell my son that, and just to watch his eyes. He was like, "What?"
Like this thing we're going to talk about today. So we're more than halfway. I think I must have had a break. I must have missed my regional break. Because I think the break should have been before now. I don't know.
It's 404.
Anyway. Okay, so the last thing is Moodle games that we're going to talk about for interactive activities, because next time is going to be quizzes and HP5 content. This time, the last thing interactive is games, and I know Beth has just started playing with games a little bit. Games can be great for kids to learn vocabulary and words. And there's a game that I haven't added yet, by the way, that I'm going to add as soon as I've had a chance to fully test it. Because that one I think kids will really like. Games are based on why am I not clicking? On basically two different things in Moodle. And these are the games that we all have right now. There's one more that's going to come. They're all built on one of three things. Either a glossary, or a quiz, or questions from your question bank. They're all built. And we're really going to just today look at using how to add a glossary to your course and how to use games with your glossary. That's it. Next time we're going to talk more about questions in question bank when we talk about quizzes. But all of these have some version. Millionaire only works off the question bank. Snakes and Ladders. Beth says that's not even a game. I hate it. So some of these work straight up. She's like, just are clicking on stuff. You know? So the advantage of a glossary is that a glossary in any class does a couple things for you. Number one, like our son's IEP said that he's supposed to have any new terms given to him at the beginning of a section. Which is when I started doing glossaries. When I had Luke in my own class, because I had never had that on an IEP before. And I was like, okay. How do I do that so that I do it in a meaningful way? Giving a kid a sheet of paper that has a bunch of definitions on it does not seem like a meaningful way to me. So I ended up making a glossary in every single chapter of terms that were new for that chapter. You can make glossaries of unlimited size, but I started with just basically taking my chapter and looking for keywords, and then students if you give them permission to, can add to your glossary at any time too. When I do games, I say the terms have to be teacher approved, because on any new term you can approve the term or you can delete the term if kids add it to your glossary, because you may not want some kids adding to your glossary.
I mean, you don't want
Right.
6, 7
Uh-huh.
there.
I was just thinking that.
Yes.
Yes.
Would be in there all the time.
Uh-huh.
The other thing about a glossary is that if you have the filter on, every time that word appears in your course, it's highlighted. Kids can hover on it and they can see the definition on it. So I went and put the filter on, and in the word you can also record the definition. So if a student were to hover on a word, they would then also be able to click on it and hear you saying the word and the definition of that word. And two, one more thing that we can add a learning stretch for IEP and 504 kids. So I want to show you how easy it is to add a glossary. It is actually, I'm going to tell you in the class, I've got 2 videos, and there's, I'm going to say, there's an easy way, and I'm going to show the easy way, and there's what I'm going to call a hard way. Okay? The hard way is what I'm going to call the quick way, and the easy way is not so quick. But this way requires you to watch a video and do some XML stuff and some. She's like, I'm not doing that. I'll copy and paste all day long, but I will not watch one of your videos and learn how to do that.
I see you all the time. I see videos too.
So I'm going to go ahead and go into a class of mine that doesn't have a glossary in it.
No, I think that's what he tried to do.
That's what I have. The video shows and has a link to the website and everything.
Okay, it's not really that.
Okay, it's extra steps, but it's quick. Anyway, let's do the easy way. Okay, so I'm going to add an activity, and I'm going to add a glossary. GL, there we go, glossary. And then I have a glossary in each chapter, so I name it things like Chapter 2 terms. And I put it's in the top of my, well, I'll just go ahead and resources. Top of my resources, yeah, in my chapter. I'm going to go ahead and expand all and go through the settings. Do I have the two? Okay, I did. Okay. So, entries approved by default or not approved by default is up to you and the kids you have in your class. You may want to say no.
Secondary glossary.
Oh, glossary type, main glossary. I didn't even know. Why does
What's a secondary glossary?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
What is the secondary glossary?
The interesting thing is it will basically poop out another one. I actually had it when I did secondary on one, and it threw it underneath my main one from an earlier glossary that I had sent, which wasn't all that awesome. Yeah, and it was weird. I ended up with like 4 of them before.
I think I have all my glossaries and secondaries. Based on this, it says there can only be one main glossary in which entries from secondary glossaries can be imported. There can be one main glossary in the course. If export entry is not required, all glossaries in the course can be secondary glossaries. So really, this is a secondary glossary because it's for the section. I think is what I would want.
Is it like vocab specific then, like content specific? Like if I had a main glossary, be basically all my terms for the class.
I've never done that. I've had them first. Yeah. So yours, it defaults to secondary.
I
never-
okay.
Just say that, I would have never even noticed.
And that's and the weird thing is, if you have a main one that covers everything, and you make other ones, when you make another one under the filter inside the second one that you made, all right, if you filter for it, will actually tell whether the stuff for the main one plops the things in. So you can actually have things in your glossary that are actually at the highlights that go back to the main glossary.
Yeah, we're just going to talk secondary glossaries today.
Yes, it's way over.
The defaults are actually pretty good. Automatically link glossary entries. I have that on, and I can show you how to turn it off. If site-wide glossary auto-linking has been enabled by an administrator and this is enabled, the add new entry includes the caption automatically. So I have it automatically to link them in my class because I kind of felt like, what's the point of them if they can't use them? Now, that means I have to turn them off in a test or they can see all the words highlighted and it makes matching very easy. The words over here, they highlight it and they go, oh, that one kind of thing.
Well, you're not turning it off, is turning off the filter inside the test.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Turning
for some reason,
I'll show you how to do it in just a second.
some
Okay.
reason, what is it?
So, display format, simple dictionary file, alphabetic list. Basically, I will leave everything the way it is and hit save and display. And now, the easy way is this way. I just hit add entry and I add the term up here and the definition down here. This term is the word it's going to look for in your course that it's going to link to. And this term, I don't like the word concept. I wish it said term. Is also the word that's going to be used in crossword puzzles and hangman.
Can I
And
just throw out there? Concept makes it even worse because then when you do crossword and all those other things, it can't be multiple words. Concepts are multiple words.
Yeah. That was the next thing I was going to say is spaces.
Market.
Spaces are not allowed in many things. So you need to tell kids if
Crossword.
it
You can
is
say to allow spaces?
Yeah, crossword.
Oh, I didn't know that because I put a backslash in mine.
that's what I was going to say. If you want to be able to use multiple words, you can always do an underscore and tell kids that the underscore is what you put in first.
But you're saying you don't have to.
Crossword will allow you to use spaces.
Okay.
So you
That's just one of them that I've used. I haven't used it.
Okay.
it didn't let me.
Okay.
But
So
you
you
can button-
so in this one you type in
check box.
the term and the definition. This is one that I can put a video in, I can put an audio in, I can put a picture in. Anything I want to add in here, it's a normal text box, and the whole box will pop up when you hover over that word. So I'm going to go to my other class because this one was faster. So
Do you have one with a picture? I don't see.
what?
Do you have one with a picture? And then your glossaries?
I don't know if I did. I just said you could. I didn't say I did.
No, I haven't actually done that. I kind of like to see it in a little tiny bubble that pops up.
If I would turn off edit mode, it would go way faster. But it keeps somehow getting in edit mode. Okay, so I'm going to go to my CPU terms. Up here at the right under chapter reading, in every one I've got my book, and then I've got my CPU terms. Oh, also it's because I have the stuff not hidden. So these are all the terms that are in my CPU section. There's whatever, however many terms, that many terms that are in my CPU section. Why in the world? I did not put the number pi in there.
You let somebody.
Some
Can
student.
you ever look at who edited it? Like,
The,
is there like
I don't know if I can, but I did not put the letter pi
I have suspects.
in there. That's funny.
Well, actually, it's a term. Right?
So these are all the terms, and you can see that even the terms link to terms. So inside this term is the word RAM, and that's a term from chapter 1, from the chapter 1 book, that if I go and click on there, then I can see the pop-up of, so I see the other glossary that it's in, and I can see the term. And this is what I've got in there, and you can see the term is inside the term. So you could, as you're reading stuff, you can click on other words. And I could have recordings, I could have pictures, I could have video, anything you put in there, you could have in there as well. I'm going to show you how to turn off the linking. First of all, the glossaries are pretty easy. In the video, however, I'm going to go back to our course. There is under glossaries. This video is not on how to do it the easy way. It's on how to do it the hard way. And if I open it up on YouTube, it has down here the address to the website that you're going to convert the list. So when you type up all my glossaries, I gave my book to AI and said, give me a list of terms. And then I took that list of terms and put it in this website, and it turned it into a file that you could import into Moodle. Just so you know. That's the difference, is I didn't want to type them all in at one time. And Beth wanted to I just have 10 terms. I just want
So
these
the
terms.
easy is the type of one at a time.
Yes, the easy way is one at a time. You just click add, you type in the term, and you type in the definition.
I mean, I think that doesn't bother me because I'm not putting 25 words in at
Yes.
once either. Like, I think if you had to do
My
5
first
words
list
at
was
once-
8.
Well, when I decided I was doing this for Luke, I just wanted to do every chapter. I wanted to get them all done. So I went, and in some cases, I used Diffit and put the lesson in the Diffit and just looked at what, okay, those terms, I'll use those terms.
So my question, my teacher kid brings Cranky now. Did you realize that he could see all this, or did he realize he could see them during his test because you had the?
You mean the first time I did it? Oh yeah, I did not realize he could. Yeah, and it wasn't him; it's everybody in the class.
Gotcha. But
Everybody in the class did really well on the first matching. So
Tell me that because I don't know what you're saying.
so if I go to my test, I'm going to go to the CPU fight right here, and I'm going to go to filters, and down here where it says glossary auto linking, you have to turn it off and save for it not to link in the test.
1993, when I was a freshman, I ran out of textbooks and one short, so my textbook was from, and I could see paper copies. And I used those paper copies for 2 months until a new child moved in and we needed to make it complaint as well. She received her paper copy and immediately said, "This is why the answers are all in here because you copied your book." Benefit of this, Karen. He's going to take my book that
So it's true. This filter is true of any activity or anything.
You go to the quiz and you have
Any device, any activity in Moodle.
Go back.
I'm going to show you. Any activity in Moodle, you go to the activity. I'm going to go to this, and you go to more and filters. Okay, and you go down where it says auto linking. You turn it off.
So is it automatically on?
It's automatically on.
Good to know.
Okay,
As a default, which is another why.
Why?
because otherwise you would have to go into every single thing in your class and turn them on.
Because that's,
And I want them on for
and that's the
No,
point of
why
it.
is it-
for the summative assessment.
Why does the test actually
Yeah.
have it?
That's not for a test. That's for an activity. It's for any activity.
Any activity?
Yeah, because you can turn it off on any activity. I can turn it off on this project right here. And I can go to filters and I can turn it off on there. Do you see how it just said all this is my rubric, but in the rubric thing there are words.
For the first one and just see if anybody uses resources. I always like use your resources. Like if there's like something up on my wall, I'm like,
You'll
it's a
be
resource.
surprised how many kids don't even pay attention.
But the,
It's the kids who think they're getting away with something, the sneaky ones.
Sometimes
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah, here's the funny thing is because it's not. It doesn't look like a hyperlink because it's orange.
Yeah, it's not italics and underlined or anything. It's just
so it'd
different
be
colors.
kind of fun to leave it on for
But when
a
you
quiz.
do your
I'll be honest. I leave them on for the IEP one.
because I don't see them.
It's on the glossary is on for the IEP.
Tiffany says she doesn't see it on the test.
Like
Who?
my default was on, but if I go in, so if I go in as me and I look at my test questions, I don't see those links. So is it something you would have to view the test as a student?
Well, maybe it's off in your glossary because you can also turn off the glossary.
It might be in
So maybe the whole point is that you don't have it on, and you can turn it off in your course. So it's possible that it's not on in your course because I think I just went to the wrong thing. I think right here in the glossary I can turn it off
If your
as well.
glossary's hidden, will it turn off too? That glossary's like currently.
And right here it says automatically link. If I have that off, probably won't show up anywhere.
Oh, when you make it.
Yeah, when you make it. So if yours says automatically link glossary and you said no, then it probably won't show up anywhere. I said yes because my whole point was I wanted to.
that's why
I especially last year, they're all on from last year because over half my class were IEP kids. And I wanted.
The glossary on for the test for your IEP kids.
Yes, I do. Yeah. So.
explain to them if you're sitting beside them, then why not leave it?
What does that hurt anyway?
It's
Now,
your testing.
did they hover on them? Did they click on? Because you don't just hover. The hover just shows you that it's in a glossary, and you have to click on the glossary to see the word. Honestly, I should go and record the definitions because I have the so they can hear them too. I mean, that really would be one more step.
Reading's tricky already.
Yeah.
Really failing.
No, I mean it would even be better to have a little video in there. I mean, there's so many things you could do with a glossary, especially at your grade level. Down in 5th grade, you know, are they going to read it? But they might watch a little YouTube video on it. You know.
But they're not going to have their headphones and they're going to be broken. 17. So can you untie this for me? I'm like,
One earbud in, the other one in the mouth.
yeah, it's like I should have just read it to you myself. We have lost 6.
Well, I mean, and I know Beth does this. I think Dan does. I mean, I have every single one of my questions is recorded for every single one of my AP
The ones will
tests
probably start changing.
because I don't have. Make them all do it the first test. Everybody has to have their headphones in. But like,
This next test, I am gonna have all of
so there 3 is to make a glossary somewhere in your course that has at least 10 words. That's all, 10 words. Because without 10 words, you really can't do any of the games. And then assignment 4 is to add your glossary. So any place in Moodle, you can add a game, and I generally put them right underneath the glossaries, so it kind of makes sense to my students. I gotta turn off the restrictions. That's driving me crazy. Oh, that's right. You said I could put that on the sidebar, didn't you? Yeah, I forgot about that. In mine, the games are just part of what. Still feel like my course is too slow. It's just this one. My other courses are fun. This one takes forever.
Who can read mine?
But thank you for the other update of how to make it look right when I made all those other things in my grade book go away. It wasn't.
Oh yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So I got my in my chapter reading section. I put my games right there. The games can go other places. That's just my thing because Beth has hers organized a completely different way. Nobody organized it the same way. Nobody needs to.
the air game though is for questions, not with
Well, I know this is my class. This is my real class. And when you do it, you're gonna and that sheet I have up there is there. But you're just gonna add a game, and if you can't see the games, let me know. I don't use all of them, and I played with them and been like, oh, okay, you know what? Cryptics is one that I had never used before. I played with it the other day. You pick what glossary you're using. So it says here you can use it with the glossary, with questions. So you pick a question category, or you can pick an actual quiz. I just want to use the questions from that quiz for this game. I'm going to use the glossary. If I chose a different one, then my drop-down changes. Down here now I can pick any quiz in my class that this Cryptics is going to come out of. I'm going to stay with glossary, and I'm going to say it's this chapter's term, and I'm in chapter 3. And then I'm going to come down. Let me expand it all. And I'm going to say it's worth 10 points. And I'm going to say it's extra credit. And I'm going to say it goes into the chapter 3 by extra credit category. I have a category for each test that extra credit goes into so that they can't too much. They don't know that. But so all the extra credit goes in this little tiny cup. And if they fill it up too much, they get as many points as they can get. So it's going to say highest grade. I can define the columns and rows. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hit save and display. And then if I want to look and see what the Cryptics looks like, this is what a Cryptics is. As you answer each question in a Cryptics, it finds the word for you and highlights it.
It's like word search.
It is like word search, except here. I mean,
So
if we
it's
go,
not say word search.
because it doesn't. You're not really searching for
Probably
the word.
trademarked or something.
Answer one of those. What it looks like.
Okay, so I hit answer, shows me the question, and I say ATX, and I say okay, and then it says you are right, and then it highlights
That's why it's not word
ATX.
search. That's not a word. ATX. Yeah.
So that's how it works. You don't really have to find it, although I guess I could look for it and it would. So
Voltage is one.
the thing is to just try a couple games out and leave one in your course that you like. What are you looking at?
She found a word. She did find a word. And I
A complete loss of electrical power in an area often caused by severe weather, equipment failure, or other unforeseen events is a brief blackout.
That's the
Oh,
only
I see that. That one's right there.
no, it's right below. It's right below blackout.
Oh.
Greek. BREEK.
It meant to say geek, but
There you go. So that's a cryptics, and you can just play with games, decide what works. Now Beth already decided she hates snakes and ladders.
well, it just doesn't make sense to the kids because it's like it shows the board
Yeah.
and then a dice, and then if you get the question right, it moves you that many on the dice, and then the kids are like, "Oh no, the snake ate me!" I went back down, and I finally I'm like, because one kid was like, "I've been working." I said, "By the time you do all 11 words, you'll be at the top. Just keep going."
Would be good if it was a online game that you were playing with other people in your group. Like if you saw your piece and their piece moving on the board and you were trying to beat someone, that would be a really good game.
Yeah.
But you're just watching your
This doesn't move at all. I know these I like better for what it is.
yeah. So
I tried it.
You have multiple players on a game. The boys be freaking out.
So that's that one. Crossword is just a crossword puzzle. Millionaire is the millionaire game that you can do phone a friend and all that.
But that's only with questions.
Yeah. By the way, the millionaire.
Yeah, that only works with questions.
Yeah, my kids want XP for it. And I was like, you can get XP for a game, yes, but they want XP based off of how they perform. And, yeah. I'm like, no.
That's
not-
interesting if they could make it work that way, but they cannot. So that's the fourth assignment. Is just make a game off your glossary. That's all. I specifically use games for extra credit. I don't use them for anything else. And the reason that is because if you do crossword puzzle and they get halfway through it and quit, they'll get an F,
Yes.
and it will bring down their grade, and they'll be, why do I have a C in the class? Well, it's because you didn't get all the crossword puzzle done. Mr. Poole, it took forever, and they can't just leave and pick it up again.
You want to know how to
But if it's extra credit, then
Could you do this as part of a choice, like a choice pathway? If you could pick
you
a
certainly
game.
could.
actually
Yeah.
click on your crossword
Because
puzzle. I want to see if
here's
it's,
the game.
this
Yeah,
happens.
just do the problems that I
All right,
have with
stop.
it.
See that?
Like a crossword.
See where it says view? See where it says view crossword? That?
This?
Yeah. Now watch this. No.
Yes.
Because it went away from it. Back up.
Right
Right click on it. So you can open another tab. Watch this one thing. Go down to one of the questions. All right.
Oh, you could just put that in the search.
Yep.
It's a really ugly crossword puzzle. Right?
You're fine. Okay, it does go in with all caps.
Yeah, it does.
So the answer to your question is in settings, you can do restrictions like everything else. So I could restrict it to a group, so they make a choice. I could do it to, if they get so good, high a grade, then they get a, reward of playing games. You could do it the other way around. If you get a really high grade, then you can play Millionaire. But if you really get a really low grade, you got to play Hitman. So yeah, you can restrict it just like anything else. But I do find it hard to give it regular points because of the way it scores. I mean, yes, if you're gonna do, if I did this activity with and said, I think I can. Can't you say how many? But yeah, crossword options.
You can set your maximum.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Dude.
You can make it smaller than I do, because that one's kind of huge.
Yeah. Well, your max is there's no max on yours. So if you set those at like 5.
Oh, maximum number of words. So if I just said 15 words
So
and I said save and then generated it, would be way better. I'm going to do these. And recheck it again. So now is it going to be a little? No. It's remembering the first time I came onto it. So pretty sure that's not 15 words. I do appreciate that though.
I really wish you could.
Well,
find
that's the thing. There's 15 in the down, and there's
Maybe you're right. Maybe there's.
yeah. So you only maximum.
Yeah, there's 15 terms. Okay, yeah, you're right. I should have made it smaller. Anyway,
You should have taken a plan. You just don't believe in that.
I think I will.
It taunts you.
And I think that's the last thing. That was the last thing on games that I want to show you. I'm going to put this slide in the book so you can see which games are defined by which thing. And the other game I am really excited about adding. It is a Space Invaders game that you have to shoot the right answer.
Oh, you're bringing it back.
Yeah. So it says it works for our version, so I'm going to try to.
There used to be an asteroid one too.
Yeah, I'm going to look and see. I think kids would enjoy that.
Space Invader one. If you use questions, please make them long questions because if you're not a fast reader, you freak out. Like, he was like, oh. It's kind of hard.
So, does anybody? I mean, we're done. That worked actually pretty well. Does anybody have any questions on anything?
I'm sure I'll have 17 next week.
Okay, and I will try to make videos and everything. So if you have questions on anything, I'll make sure I put the video in the thing. I tried to make a separate one in course supports with the videos for this. So that's section 1. This is the one for section 2. And like I said, I don't have it done. I'm gonna.
So we can either do a choice activity or a choice.
For learning. Like how they want to learn. You want to choose.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Choice for learning, or did you say a choice for?
The activities. If you want to have them do different kinds of, like Jan's talked about having a choice board where they're choosing what activities they want to do. It's just whichever way you want to provide them choice.
Like, so I thought you said the other choice would be if you do this, and you make this grade, then you go here. But if you know what I'm saying, like
Right.
There's a restriction.
Restrictions or
Yeah,
something.
she talked about the restriction one.
Is that not
If you
what the
scored
choice-
80, these things over.
Yeah, that's not a choice. That's automatic restriction.
okay. So are we doing that?
No, that's not good with this.
You're just showing us.
Yeah,
that.
that's
okay.
next time.
Thought you were doing that too. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's next time.
This one, yeah, that's
You're
next.
just ahead of
So I won't take it on.
Now,
He's
in my
moving too
I
slow.
thought you said we were doing that.
halfway choice, like if I have them choose something to do, I then restrict it to here's your next step. Could it be a game that you play about whatever you did, and then it goes to the assessment?
Yes.
And could I do that? Would that be everything then? That I need to do all in one.
Yeah. So kind of, you can have your choice be
I hit all the birds with it.
have it your choice go to different games.
Yeah.
Sure, you could.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole point is to provide a way for them to get ownership of what they're doing.
You
They
can
get
build
to
a
pick
choice
what's going.
within a choice.
Yes, you definitely could. So what you're saying is,
Picked a choice and I put them in a group,
yeah,
and then within that, could
and
it
then
be another
that
choice?
group gets a choice, to do something else. So yes, you
It's
definitely.
not within it. You have a
It'd be a different activity. So
Yeah.
like,
But you would just
well,
need that many groups.
yeah. So
Yeah.
if you, exactly. So if you have a choice here where they can choose between 3 different paths they go to, you can have a choice right after that choice. That this one's a choice, and now they choose this, and you could even have this one end up bringing them back to the same line as that one. Like, Oh, well, you did a choice, so now you're back with everybody else
You
on
make
this
it a
one.
true path.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I think it's beneficial to take a piece of paper and draw it out, so you know what your plan is.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Because I think it was screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't write it down first, you're like, where is everybody? You know, it's like, okay, so this is it. You know, here's our three choices, and then you give them two choices again. Well, that just made them
What would happen?
back
Mine's
over
like
here.
squirrel. No, like, wait.
But that's the idea of learning pathways, is that you can do anything in the different pathways. You're letting them choose and identifying who does what better from other assessments, and because you could easily do this too. You could have they make a choice, and then you've got a restriction that says if they've got above an 80% and they made this choice, then they're going here. And if they got below 80% and they made that choice, they go there. They don't all just the same choice doesn't have to give them the same event
That's
either.
restrictions.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. You can have a choice, go to a restriction where, okay,
Or then they
they're
have
in this group and they've got an 80% of my class. Now my gifted kids are getting this video assignment and my IEP kids are getting this video assignment, and that one's a little bit easier than this one, kind of thing. So the choice doesn't have to end in the exact same spot. You can build them on each other too.
You're in the blue group, and your name's Phil. Like, and you scored
You-
80%.
Restrictions that are on last name.
That's how I reopened my test. It's like, yeah, there's a restriction on the test. It's like, what? It's like, only if your name moves in here.
Yes.
There you go. You know, it was like, fine. And it's like, because I don't have to worry about anybody else popping into it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do that for my retakes.
Wait, I mean, I use restrictions for everything because I don't want to ever hide an open test.
Once I learned them,
Because I don't have to hide anything. As soon as they come into the class, everything's hidden. And as soon as they do this, then they see now. The problem was we went for the thing and the baby, and I had one kid who wasn't here the day before, so he couldn't see the assignment, so he sat here and did nothing. Instead of doing what was on the day before, and I'm like, today I was like, okay, here's the deal. Whatever is in the bottom of that section, that's what you need to catch up on, and you should have already known that. It's like, well, you didn't say I had to do 3.3. You said I had to do 3.4, and I couldn't see it because I wasn't here for 3.3. And I'm just like,
was
You-
it from
wait,
the class that
Do you have your to-do
I
on it?
covered?
Do you have your
oh yeah, he can see it.
Oh, then he should speak.
Yeah, no, he can see it. Yeah.
Is it from the day I covered third block?
The Caden? No, you
Yeah,
had
okay.
third block. No, the most third block got it was Caden prep.
You did have one person.
He
that
didn't
was out,
do
and I
anything,
think I
and
did
apparently
that.
was gone in the bathroom for 45 minutes of the class. The other kid said, "Well, it's not like it was here."
Good point. That's normal.
I couldn't get done. I was in the bathroom for 45 minutes.
He's like, "Here's the deal. You can't see the assignment when I'm gone. You got 5 minutes to email me. After that, you're just goofing around." Because I could open it up.
Hey, I was willing to give the kid the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's just showing you his fruits of the spirit of patience. He's like, I'll just wait.
Well, Jacob Page wasn't here,
He's the
so
one that was absent.
yeah, he wasn't here, so he was behind. He emailed me and asked me what he had to do, and I was like, "Can you do 3, 4, and 3, 5?" And he's like, "I can't see 3, 4." And
Because some kids, when they came in, they couldn't see 3, 4. Was it because they had to get a score on
yeah,
the
3, 3, you had to get an
They
80% or
figured it out
above.
after a second. It's
Yeah.
like, check
So if you took 3, 3 and just went beep through the quiz and didn't actually read it, then you got to take it again.
But once you do it,
Setting up all the restrictions is something you do throughout the course, and you benefit from it next year. I mean, I what I ended up doing is hiding everything, and then putting a restriction on it, and then putting, and work my way ahead. But then you get bit a little bit when something like that happens.
See, like for us, we have in middle school, we'll actually have 4 groups doing the same thing or about the same thing.